The start of a new year is more than just a change on the calendar. It's a chance to redefine who you are, to let go of what no longer serves you, and to step into a better, stronger version of yourself. But lasting transformation doesn't come from dramatic overhauls or fleeting resolutions. It's built on habits, the small daily actions that shape your life in powerful ways. The Stoics knew the power of habits long before modern self-improvement books filled the shelves. Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca all believed that living a meaningful life isn't about grand gestures. It's about the consistent practice of principles that ground you, guide you, and help you grow. In this episode, we'll explore 10 Stoic habits that can help you reinvent yourself in 2025 and beyond. These habits aren't just theoretical, they're practical, actionable, and designed for real life. Whether you're looking to overcome anxiety, boost your productivity, or find clarity in a chaotic world, these principles will give you the tools to create lasting change. Because reinvention doesn't happen in a single moment, it's a process, and it starts with the habits you choose to cultivate. Let's dive in and explore how these Stoic practices can empower you to make 2025 your year of transformation. Habit 1. Start small, achieve big. When we think about change, it's tempting to imagine a grand overhaul, a sweeping transformation that turns everything around in an instant. But the Stoics understood that true, lasting change doesn't come from dramatic leaps. It comes from small, deliberate steps taken consistently over time. Marcus Aurelius reminded us of this truth when he said, "You must build up life action by action and be content if each one achieves its goal as far as possible." Starting small doesn't mean thinking small. It means focusing on manageable actions that create momentum. Think of it like planting a tree. You don't expect it to grow overnight, but with consistent care, watering it daily, ensuring it gets sunlight, it becomes a towering force of nature over time. The same is true for your habits. Small actions compound into big results. Let's say you want to improve your health. Instead of attempting a complete lifestyle overhaul, start with something simple. Commit to walking for 10 minutes every day. That small habit is achievable, and as you stick with it, it builds confidence. Soon, that 10-minute walk might turn into a 30-minute run, and before you know it, you're making other positive changes like eating healthier or sleeping better. This principle applies to any area of life. If you want to grow intellectually, start by reading just one page of a book each day. That may not sound like much, but over a year, that's 365 pages, an entire book or more. By breaking your goals into smaller, manageable pieces, you remove the intimidation factor and make progress feel achievable. Small steps also help you overcome the fear of starting. Often, we delay action because the end goal feels overwhelming. For instance, if you dream of writing a novel, the idea of completing hundreds of pages might paralyze you. But what if you started with just 100 words a day? In 3 months, you'd have over 9,000 words. The key is to focus on the process, not the destination. The Stoics believed in progress over perfection. Seneca said, "Begin at once to live and count each separate day as a separate life." This wisdom encourages us to focus on the small victories each day, rather than waiting for some monumental achievement to validate our efforts. To cultivate this habit, start by identifying one small action you can take today that aligns with your bigger goals. Write it down, commit to it, and do it consistently. Whether it's drinking a glass of water when you wake up, meditating for 5 minutes, or jotting down a single idea in a journal, the size of the action doesn't matter. It's the habit of showing up that counts. Think of your small actions like drops of water filling a jar. At first, the progress might seem slow, even insignificant, but over time, those drops accumulate, and before you know it, the jar overflows. That's the power of starting small. So, as you begin your journey to reinvent yourself in 2025, remind yourself, I don't need to change everything at once. I just need to take one small step today. Because with each small step, you're building the foundation for big success. Habit 2. Master your anxiety before it masters you. Anxiety. It's a storm that brews in the mind, feeding on uncertainties, fears, and the countless what-ifs we can't control. For many of us, it's not the events themselves that cause distress, but our endless anticipation of what might go wrong. The Stoics understood this well. Epictetus said, "Men are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of them." The key to mastering anxiety lies in shifting your perspective and regaining control over your inner dialogue. Anxiety often grows when we focus on what's outside our control, how others perceive us, the outcomes of our efforts, or the uncertainty of the future. By redirecting your focus to what you can control, your thoughts, actions, and reactions, you take the wind out of anxiety's sails. It's not about eliminating uncertainty, but learning how to navigate it with calmness and clarity. Imagine you're preparing for a big presentation at work. Your mind spirals. What if I forget what to say? What if they don't like my ideas? This kind of anxious thinking pulls you into scenarios that haven't even happened yet. To regain control, pause and ask yourself, what can I do right now? Maybe it's rehearsing your opening lines or reviewing your slides. By focusing on what's actionable, you replace helpless worry with purposeful action. Mindfulness is another powerful tool for mastering anxiety. The Stoics practiced staying grounded in the present moment, a principle echoed in Marcus Aurelius's words. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. When anxiety arises, bring your attention back to the here and now. Take a deep breath, feel your feet on the ground, and remind yourself that this moment is manageable. Consider this exercise. When anxiety takes hold, write down your fears. Seeing them on paper often reveals that they're not as overwhelming as they seemed in your mind. Then, next to each fear, write one thing you can do to address it, no matter how small. This process helps you shift from worrying to problem-solving. Let's look at a practical example. Imagine a student preparing for an exam. Anxiety tells them, what if I fail? What if I forget everything? Instead of spiraling, they could focus on what they can control, creating a study schedule, reviewing key topics, and practicing relaxation techniques before the test. By taking these steps, they not only prepare effectively, but also calm the storm of anxiety. The Stoics also remind us that much of what we fear is exaggerated. Seneca wisely noted, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." How often have you dreaded a difficult conversation or task, only to find that it wasn't as bad as you anticipated? Anxiety thrives on worst-case scenarios, but reality is often far kinder. To master your anxiety, it's also important to question its validity. Ask yourself, is this fear based on fact or assumption? What evidence do I have that this outcome will happen? Challenging your anxious thoughts helps you see them for what they are, possibilities, not certainties. Finally, Remember that anxiety can be a signal, not just a burden. It points to areas where preparation or self-reflection is needed. For example, if you feel anxious about a new job, that anxiety might remind you to research the company or brush up on key skills. When viewed this way, anxiety becomes a guide rather than a foe. Think of anxiety like a wave. If you try to resist it, it crashes over you, leaving you overwhelmed. But if you ride the wave, acknowledging its presence and working with it, you can move forward with greater ease and confidence. The next time anxiety knocks at your door, pause and remind yourself, this feeling doesn't control me. I control how I respond. By mastering your anxiety, you reclaim your peace of mind, empowering yourself to face life's uncertainties with strength and clarity. Habit 3. Design a routine that works for you. Life is full of chaos and unpredictability, but a well-crafted routine can act as your anchor, keeping you grounded and focused no matter what storms come your way. The Stoics understood the importance of structure, believing that consistency and intentionality in daily life lead to clarity, progress, and inner peace. Marcus Aurelius advised, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." This begins with how you shape your days. A routine isn't about rigidity or filling every moment with tasks. It's about creating a rhythm that aligns with your values, energy levels, and goals. When you design a routine that works for you, you free yourself from decision fatigue, reduce stress, and create a framework for consistent growth. Think of your daily life like a ship at sea. Without a clear course and steady navigation, the waves of distraction and unpredictability can push you off track. But with a solid routine, you chart your path, ensuring that each day moves you closer to your destination. Let's start with a simple example. Imagine someone who feels overwhelmed by their workload. Without a routine, they might spend their days reacting to emails, jumping from one task to another without focus. But by setting a clear schedule, blocking time for deep work, short breaks, and planning, they regain control and improve their productivity. A routine isn't about doing more, it's about doing what matters most. To create a routine that works for you, begin by identifying your priorities. What are the non-negotiable activities that align with your values and goals? For some, this might mean starting the day with exercise or meditation. For others, it could be carving out time for creative work or meaningful conversations with loved ones. Whatever it is, build your routine around these anchors. The Stoics also emphasized the importance of beginning the day with intention. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to think, to enjoy, to love." Consider starting your day with a moment of reflection. Ask yourself, what is my purpose today? How can I align my actions with my values? This simple habit sets a positive tone for the day ahead. Your routine should also reflect your natural energy peaks and valleys. Some people are most productive in the morning, while others hit their stride in the afternoon or evening. Pay attention to when you feel most focused and creative, and schedule your most important tasks during those times. Save less demanding activities like emails or errands for when your energy dips. Flexibility is another key to a successful routine. Life is unpredictable, and rigid schedules can lead to frustration when things don't go as planned. Build in some buffer time and allow yourself the freedom to adapt without guilt. For instance, if your morning workout gets interrupted, look for another time in the day to fit it in. The goal is consistency, not perfection. Here's a practical way to start designing your routine. At the end of each day, take 5 minutes to plan the next one. Write down your top 3 priorities and block time for them in your schedule. This habit helps you wake up with clarity and direction, reducing decision fatigue and increasing your sense of control. Think of a routine as a garden. The structure, the planting beds, the paths, gives it order, but it also allows space for growth and beauty. Each habit you cultivate is like a seed that, with care and consistency, blossoms into something meaningful over time. When distractions arise or life feels chaotic, your routine becomes your sanctuary. It reminds you of what matters most and provides the stability to move forward with purpose. The Stoics believed that a disciplined life leads to freedom, and a thoughtful routine is one of the most effective ways to embody that principle. So, as you design your routine, ask yourself, how can I shape my days to reflect my values and goals? Then, start small, stay consistent, and adjust as needed. A routine isn't about creating constraints. It's about creating a life of intention, balance, and progress. Habit 4. Break bad habits. Reclaim your freedom. Bad habits, they sneak into our lives quietly, often disguised as harmless routines. But over time, they can hold us back, chaining us to behaviors that undermine our potential and keep us from becoming the best version of ourselves. The Stoics believed that true freedom comes from self-mastery, and breaking free from bad habits is a critical step toward that freedom. Seneca wisely observed, "No man is free who is not master of himself." This means that every habit we allow to persist unchecked has the power to control us. Breaking bad habits isn't just about self-discipline. It's about reclaiming control over your choices, your actions, and ultimately, your life. The first step in breaking a bad habit is awareness. Often, we fall into habits unconsciously, grabbing our phones the moment we wake up, procrastinating on important tasks, or turning to comfort foods when stressed. Take a moment to reflect. What habits are holding me back? How do they affect my goals and well-being? Naming the habit is the first step to breaking its hold on you. Let's look at a practical example. Imagine someone who habitually scrolls through social media for hours, losing valuable time and feeling drained afterward. Instead of simply blaming themselves for lack of willpower, they could examine the root cause. Is it boredom? A need for connection? Once they identify the trigger, they can replace the habit with something more intentional, like calling a friend or engaging in a creative activity. Breaking a habit doesn't mean stopping abruptly. It's about replacing it with something better. The Stoics believed in redirecting energy toward constructive actions. For instance, if you want to stop procrastinating, focus on starting tasks in small, manageable steps. Instead of thinking, "I have to finish this entire project," say, "I'll work on it for just 10 minutes. This small action reduces resistance and builds momentum. Another key to breaking bad habits is changing your environment. If you're trying to eat healthier, stock your kitchen with nourishing foods and remove tempting junk food. If you want to stop binge-watching shows late at night, set a timer to turn off your devices or move your TV out of the bedroom. These environmental tweaks reduce friction and make it easier to stick to your goals. The Stoics also emphasized the importance of self-forgiveness. Breaking a habit isn't a linear process. It's normal to slip up occasionally. Marcus Aurelius reminded us, "When you stumble, get back up. What matters is how quickly you recover." Instead of dwelling on setbacks, focus on the progress you've made and the next step forward. Let's consider another scenario. Someone wants to break the habit of negative self-talk. Every time they make a mistake, Their inner critic says, "You're not good enough." To break this habit, they could practice self-compassion, replacing those thoughts with affirmations like, "Mistakes are part of learning. I'm growing stronger every day." Over time, this new habit rewires their mindset and builds confidence. Here's a practical exercise. Identify one bad habit you want to break. Write down its trigger, the behavior itself, and its consequences. Then, brainstorm a replacement habit and plan how to implement it. For example, trigger, feeling stressed. Bad habit, eating unhealthy snacks. Replacement habit, going for a walk or drinking a glass of water instead. Repetition is key. The more you practice the replacement habit, the stronger it becomes, eventually overshadowing the old one. Think of breaking bad habits like clearing weeds from a garden. At first, it's hard work, pulling them out one by one. But as you plant and nurture healthier behaviors, those weeds lose ground, and your garden flourishes with growth and potential. The next time you catch yourself slipping into a bad habit, pause and remind yourself, "This habit doesn't define me. I have the power to change." With each small victory, you reclaim your freedom, paving the way for a life of intention, growth, and self-mastery. Habit 5. Make time for what truly matters. In the hustle and chaos of modern life, it's easy to feel pulled in 100 different directions. The noise of endless tasks, distractions, and obligations can leave us overwhelmed, unsure if we're spending our time on things that actually matter. The Stoics believed that our time is our most valuable resource, and using it wisely is essential for living a purposeful and fulfilling life. Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." This powerful reminder urges us to pause and reflect. Are we dedicating our time to things that align with our values